That was not the case last year when Kyrie was there. All right, so I'm going to reject this
Kyrie
premise.
was there, and they were down.
They were down 3-0.
3-0
The first
with
two
Kyrie.
games, they were blown out.
Yes.
Game 3 was close last year. This year, they ended up blown out in Game 2, but it was a 3-possession game late in Game 2, and it was a 1-point game in the final minutes of Games 1 and Games 3. That's without Kyrie versus with Kyrie. CeCe's first point's the most important one. Does Kyrie staying on Cleveland heal his knee? Even if the I'll have preemptive surgery was a bluff, does the surgery he did end up needing to have not happen? If that's not the case, then what are we even talking about here? If the Cavs want to play, some of the Cavs want to play a make-believe scenario. There's a more interesting make-believe scenario, but it's not about Kyrie. It's about Kevin Love and Kelly Olynyk from 4 years ago. There's a fun thought exercise. If Kelly Olynyk doesn't rip out Kevin Love's shoulder, LeBron's first year back in Cleveland, and Kevin Love is healthy for that playoff run, and therefore Kyrie doesn't have to play as much in the second round against the Bulls on a bad knee, do they win that title? If we want to keep playing the make-believe scenario, if they've won that title and the Thunder don't blow a 3-1 lead to the Warriors, KD never goes to Golden State.
Yeah.
And LeBron potentially right now today is going for his 4th straight championship and his 6th title to match Jordan. But that's not the world in which we live. If the Cavs, here's something nobody on Cleveland wants to admit. You know the trade that there is no defense for, that we now look back on it? The trade they got nothing out of? The trade that they literally got nothing in return for?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade. How about that? How about after the deadline, when they had to remake their team, and they were smart for remaking their team because LeBron was almost checking out, Isaiah Thomas wasn't going to fit, they had to make those moves. Now, did they get the best players for those moves? That's a different discussion. But the courtesy trade for Dwayne Wade.
As a favor.
As a favor, we'll get a highly protected second-round pick we'll never see, so you can go to Miami. You think Dwayne Wade couldn't have been more productive in Jordan Clarkson's minutes in Games 1 and Games 2? You think Dwayne Wade couldn't have been a calming force down the stretch in Game 3? They got nothing for him. So if you want to play make-believe trades, giving a player away because it was the nice thing to do, that one you have more reason to scrutinize than the Kyrie trade, which at least there was a rationale for it. Kyrie demanded to be demanded.
So
to
that's
be traded.
it. You both said the same thing. These anonymous players, whoever it is, that's like, we could have been better if Kyrie. Kyrie didn't want to be here. Kyrie's the one that asked for the trade. It's not like the Cavs got rid of him and everyone else was like, no, you need to stay and help us. Kyrie didn't want to play for this Cavs team. He didn't want to play with LeBron. He didn't want to play with everyone else. How does that factor in the whole thing? I don't even know if this would have been a scenario. He didn't want to be there.
Well, he wants his own team. Like people, so it, for one, the anonymous Cav, all right, it can only be 4 players, all right? Either
Who
JR,
are the 4 players?
All right, JR, Tristan, Kevin Love, or LeBron.
It's got to be, because they describe him as veteran Cavs, been on the 4 guys that have been there for all 4 finals.
Yeah, so when a player is not happy, and the thing Nick pointed out as far as Kyrie's knee, happy or unhappy if he can't play, if he's not 100% going against Steph and Clay, LeBron still needs help. Kyrie is a phenomenal player. And we'll go through a lot of these scenarios after the season when we don't have a lot of topics and everything to talk about. But the Cavs, without support, have been in all 3 of these games. So you're saying if they had another superstar, would they be up? Yes, but if the superstar don't want to be there, the superstar now is all out with a long-term injury, his 4th knee surgery. So that's a lot of hypotheticals to be able to get to be able to be ahead 3-0 on one of the greatest collection of basketball players that we've seen. Because not only is this player saying they'd be up 3-0, but it's who they're up against. So that right there is it's just hard for me to put all those things to get my brain to think, wow, if they had Kyrie, what would happen?
You don't have to add another player to make the argument this series should be 2-1 Golden State. You don't have to add another player to say this series could be 2-1 Cleveland. In order to get to 3-0, you've got to do a lot of mental gymnastics.
They could have won Game 1. They had Game 1.
I would argue that Game 1, the Cavs should have won. Game 3, Golden State should have won. And Game 2, clearly Golden State should have won. So,
yes.
I think the way it should be, I know should is a tough word, but the way it could have been easily is 2-1 Golden State right now. I want to make this part clear on the Kyrie thing. I didn't believe then, I don't believe now, that they had to trade Kyrie Irving. I think that you can say, I can't remember the last time an NBA player actually held out. The last time an NBA player under contract said, I'm just not showing up. Eric Bledsoe tweeted his way out of Phoenix, but they sent him home. He didn't refuse to show up. Guys under contract with multiple years left on a contract don't not show up if you hold the fort. And I know later in the show we're going to talk about Brian Colangelo and the GM situation.
Did that play a factor?
Having stability at the top of your organization always matters.
Absolutely.
And could the situation have been if David Griffin were still there when LeBron wants to keep Kyrie? If those two guys are your two most powerful people in the organization are still in place, then there is a scenario where Kyrie is still a Cav, but that's not the scenario in which played out.
And they put a rookie general manager in place that Kyrie was able to put pressure on him. That was actually one of the first moves that he had to do. So as a rookie general manager, man, that's a tough. With the ownership that they have there in Cleveland, if David Griffin is there, I believe there's a different result.
And people should also know, with the rookie GM, before Kyrie demands the trade, according to all reporting, one of the reasons he ended up demanding the trade was it got out that the new GM was discussing trade scenarios. Does a veteran GM make sure, listen, if we're going to discuss trading Kyrie Irving, there's going to be 3 people in this room, and I trust all of them with my life, as opposed to a rookie GM that's like, I can trust everyone on the staff, that it's not going to. So there's a lot of things we can do what-ifs about Kyrie. I don't think any of them involve the Cavs being up 3-0 on the most talented team ever put together.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.